Mm. Welcome to Sashiko Live Streaming. This is Atsushi. Thank you so much for coming. Just let me turn on my camera a little bit. So I kind of removed. I removed my back screen for now, so I don't have any green screen. So I'm not really. I'm showing my room right now, but I hope it's gonna be temporarily. And yeah, so I will speak like that, showing my room a little bit. And I hope nothing bad is coming there. This is the Sashiko Live Streaming where I talk about Sashiko while doing Sashiko stitching. This is not a lecture, webinar, or tutorial, so I'm not gonna answer the questions regarding to the Sashiko techniques. So I'm not gonna do like, how to do Sashiko stitching, or as long as I don't have to stop stitching, I will answer the questions. So if you have any questions regarding Sashiko culture or stories, please leave the comments so I can follow up. For the announcement, Keiko, my mother is having right now. It's ongoing, having an exhibition in Kyoto, JL Kyoto Department Store Isetan. So if you happen to be nearby, if you have a friends who are nearby, please let them know. Please visit Keiko so that you can touch, feel the sashiko we practice actually. Besides that, it's all the same thing. The Sashiko class, Sashiko workshop in 2025 are going to happen, but they're all sold out. We are now preparing for the 2026. And if you have a organization or group who wants to organize the workshop, it's a good time. It's right now I'm working on that too. So please contact me for the availability. And for the Japan Tour 2026, it is my best intention to offer it again. I don't know if I can do it right now, right at this moment. But the 2025, they are all fully booked. So I hope that I can share as many photos as possible. And all other informations are all listed on the description area of this live streaming. So if you have any questions after this live streaming or even during the live streaming, please take a look at that description. All right, I will switch the camera. Yeah, I hope that I will share some of the photos of my mother's exhibition soon. Not as soon, but while I do the live streaming. これか。Okay. Let me just do the. It's easy to do. Should be good. I don't know how the photographer does this kind of pint. Okay. Yeah. I share some of the photo of my Keiko, my mother's exhibition. It is always good to. It's always good to see mother's smile. I have a lot of stories why I am doing Sashiko and why I restarted it, but I think the very primitive motivation that I restarted Sashiko is because I wanted her to have that kind of smile, and it's kind of I felt quite responsible when I decided to leave Japan. Hello from Taiwan. Hello. It's probably a weird time difference. Hello, 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 Ty. Thank you for coming. So yeah, it's a good to see that she is enjoying it. Keiko, my mother is not. Well, we can consider her as an artist, and what she makes is quite artistic. So, you know, many of my students or many people that I meet kind of likes Keiko's items more than what I make. But I don't think, and I have never heard that she considers herself as the artist. And her creation is all about entertaining others. So it's not really the way to show off her skill or achieve something by doing that. It's more like she wants to make somebody happy by doing it, by stitching, by offering that. And this somebody is not only the human being, it can include fabric too. So by stitching, it might sound a little, crazy, but fabric can be happier, or we can make fabric a little more energetic, more, you know, make them fun for that matter, I guess. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming. So that's what she does. That's what she does, and that's another reason that we do not consider Sashiko as the art. Of course, we have to define what art is to discuss these kind of things, but for her, it is the way to communicate to the world, and that world includes the people as well as the fabric, and everything comes around her life. So it's always good to see that kind of smile. I mean, Sashiko can be quite alone work. When we do stitching, it's often alone. You may have some companies to stitch with, and that's of course the possibility. At the same time, it can be quite lonely work, and sometimes we enjoy that loneliness too. At the same time, when we work on that, not when we work on that, it is always good to see others. Well, probably Keiko, my mother, is a little more outgoing than I am, although on the social media, it looks like that I may be the one who is more outgoing. But in the reality, probably she's more outgoing for that. I don't know. But regardless, it's good to see her smile. And I will show the face too. So it is in Kyoto right now. It is in Kyoto's Isetan jail department. So it's probably a few minutes walk from the JL Kyoto station, or it's probably even connected to the JL Kyoto station, if I am not mistaken. It's not a huge exhibition, but at the same time, it is the exhibition. It's the place where you can touch Keiko's work, feel Keiko's work. So it's Burma that it is our goal. It is our dream to have it around the world so that other people can join. But for now, we will start from the place that we can start from. Isetan is right at the station. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, so the Isetan is right at the station, so it's up a part of the station. It's probably not the Sashiko we can find on the internet. That it's not the Sashiko we can find as the kit. There are quite many kit that you can just stitch on it with using your eyes and using the controlling the needle. What she offer which is pretty similar to what I offer, is quite different from what we can find right now. So I want, um, I would like to make this opportunity as the way to communicate what Sashiko can be. Both of them are Sashiko. Don't get me wrong. Both of them. The trend right now is also Sashiko. At the same time, that's not only one. That's not only it. Well, but just doing the kid will not make them to be like us. So there's nothing wrong with enjoying kid, but that does not make them master or teacher for that matter. So I hope that if you're serious in learning Sashiko, consider taking the workshop I offer. Which is sold out. Sorry for that for this year. So online is, I believe, it's still available this month. So please take a look at that. Every single teaching I have, including Keiko's teaching in Japan, has the prerequisite of my first workshop. The reason I do that is that it is very, very important to make sure that we are on the same page. I often use the knowledge of riding a bicycle or even swimming. It's not the special skill. When one practice enough, ideally with a good, nice navigation or advice, anybody can be able to do it, either swimming, either riding a bicycle. It's the matter of practice. But it requires some practice too. And anybody can enjoy the pool, or anybody can enjoy the park without swimming or without riding a bicycle. But when we are having the party to swim or to ride a bicycle, or when we have a gathering with the theme of actually swimming, I want everybody in that group to be able to swim. Doesn't matter how good they can swim or how long, how fast, doesn't matter how much, how well, but I want them to know what swimming is like. Not only diving or floating in the air. It is quite important to know what is the basic swimming style. Can be the freestyle, can be the backstroke. Once again, doesn't matter, but I want them to have the same understanding of what is swimming like. And that's what I teach. After that, once the person get that basic, then it's completely up to them to learn how to swim differently or for their purpose. Somebody might want to swim faster. Somebody might want to go longer, like in terms of distance. So that's what I offer as the kind of application and practice, and my mother's workshop in Japan is part of that, which isn't. I don't know if Keiko's workshop is. Well, she doesn't speak English, so it's really interesting workshop. But because we know how to swim together, every single workshop has been a really great success. But yeah, that's the things that basic. I call it basic. At the same time, it's the most important thing. It is the basic, but it's not just the basic. It's the most important things in the Sashiko we practice. And I don't think that it's taught the way I teach. Of course, anybody can copy that, and I encourage anybody to copy it too. But if anybody is kind of serious in learning what Sashiko is, And if their goal is to continue doing that for a long time, I don't think that's a bad investment, because once you learn how to swim, once you learn how to ride a bicycle, that skill, that muscle memory will not go away so easily. And it sometimes is a good idea to do so before establishing the bad. I would not call it as a bad habit, because there's no such a thing as a bad habit, but it is sometimes easier to not to have any habit to learn something new. So because there's quite many platform right now, like 6-7 years ago there were no platforms, so I was not saying that they can learn whenever they want. Doesn't have to be right now. But because there's so many free YouTube's online community teaching right now, it might be a good idea to start thinking about the kind of habit that you may not want to have before having the one we teach. Hello, thank you so much for coming. But yeah, so there's so many things, similar things. Like, as I said, swimming, bicycle, riding a bicycle, cooking is another thing, running. What else? Anything ordinary, anything we do in the ordinary setting. But sometimes people cannot do that because they did not have opportunity to go through that. So I swim, I do the bicycle, but I cannot do the skateboard because I did not have any experience with that. Interestingly though, I do snowboard. So technically speaking, it's not that different, I guess. I don't know, maybe quite different. But it's not that I don't board. It's just difference between the snowboard and rollerboard or skateboard. And I think it's just a matter of having a good guidance or good teacher to teach me, or probably just a matter of practice, and I didn't have enough time to do practicing. Same as Sashiko, so I want, because there's so many information right now, I would like to introduce the easiest way to, not easiest way, I'm sorry, easiest is the probably a wrong analogy. Most flavorful way to reach to the goal. If the goal is the summit of the mountain, the easiest way is to ask the guide to piggyback you to the summit, or hire helicopter to bring you to the summit. I mean, the top of the mountain. If the goal is to be on the top of the mountain, there's always a easier way. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but that's, if the goal is that, there's always easiest way and faster way. But what I teach is not how to get to the peak, or how to get the summit, or how to get the top of the mountain fast or efficiently or better in terms of that. It is how to enjoy the process of reaching to the top of the mountain. And sometimes you may stay in the middle of the mountain for longer time than going to the top, because you may find something more important than actually reaching to the summit. And there's so many people who find their own pleasure by climbing the mountain. But today's Sashiko is quite simplified, that it's all about going to the top of the mountain. to do that, they teach and they supply the easiest items to reach to their like a package. The same backpack, same shoes, same items, same everything. And they make a trail very beautifully, nicely, and sometimes with help of like electric powered stairs or anything that helps the climber to feel comfortable. Less trouble, less hard work, less sweat is better for that. But I want, if they come to me for the Sashiko way practice, I want them to have the freedom or ability to enjoy anything in the middle of the process of climbing up the mountain. And if they trust me for that, I would like to take them. If they trust me and if they have the same taste as I do, then I would like to take the places I value, the places I really, really like to spend time with, time at. So that's the kind of the difference between the Sashiko we practice and some of the Sashiko which is completely packaged, and what they do is to just make patterns for the purpose of the result, and sometimes they do that for the purpose of relaxation, and there's nothing wrong with that. But relaxation itself is not only the effect we can enjoy by doing Sashiko. So, there are a lot more than what is introduced right now. I hope this analogy makes sense. It's not I'm not saying something crazy. Sometimes people think that I'm saying something crazy, but when it comes to the analogies, wouldn't be kind of strange that if somebody teach themselves how to swim by looking at other people, and then they decided to say that they can teach how to be the professional swimmer? Ooh. So when the practice is well organized with the authorities, they will usually issue the certifications or something to make validated, something to make them validated to those rules. But if those are not organized well, because it's really, really too orderly to do that, then it's so difficult to find what is actually the practice or wisdom based on the long history or just somebody's entertainment, like makeups. It's not like a wrong or lie, but it's the stories that they came up with in the last few, I hope not weeks, but few months. Once again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the difference. And if they advertise it's just Japanese Sashiko with a long history, then that's a kind of false advertisement, because it might not. It's probably not. But yeah, I hope that those analogy will make sense and people will find the difference one by one. The Sashiko, it's not the Sashiko which makes Keiko happy or smile like that. I'll show you the photos now. I don't have that many photos because Keiko doesn't really take the photos much, but I do have several of those, so let me introduce that. Yeah, I have only 4 pictures. That's not good, but just a second. So this is the photo of one table. I don't know if you can see it well, but everything is hand stitched with Sashiko. It's often this hitomezashi, and those are the hitomezashi back there. And then this is probably patchwork. Let me just zoom in. It's the patchwork with the vintage fabric with reinforcing the fragile vintage fabric with the Sashiko stitching. And this is the same thing. So she loves the vintage fabric. I do love it too. But it's kind of difficult to find the best vintage fabric for that purpose. But when we find those, we stitch to make it stronger, to last longer, and then we make it something we can use every day, something we can use per day. I mean, in our ordinary days. So those are the coasters, small pouch, muffler, scarf, the bag. So she does not sell the art in the frames. Some people may think that they can, if she did not make a bag, this may be the piece to be framed and can be the art, but we don't do that. It's not the style we do for Sashiko. Instead of putting into the glass case or putting into the framing, we want them to be used in the ordinary. The next photo is a jacket. Probably this one is quite... You may have seen this already. Yep, this is the kind of... I don't know if it's the right English, but it's a signature jacket that Keiko often she's very good at this, and many people likes this kind of style. So it's a vintage fabric. Everything is vintage, and we make hitomezashi for each vintage fabric and then patchwork together, so it makes like a little bit of mosaic art from outside. Sorry. Yeah, this is one of the jacket I always want to have too. If you see this kind of jacket in the in-person workshop, that's kind of luck. That's a lucky day. I do only have one left, and I plan to bring into the next in-person workshop, but it can be sold. I have a price tag on that, and some people generously purchase it as the wearable art, and that's, that's quite beautiful, especially in the closet. I mean, the more you use it, the more beautiful it gets. And this is the kind of bag with the same theme. So if the jacket is too big, or sometimes with the jacket, this may be a good idea to do that. And those are the smile that I was talking about. I believe that many of you here knows, my mother's Keiko's face, but this is her, and of course she's wearing all the Sashiko she makes. It's hers. I don't know. You may be familiar with these patterns. We use a lot of these. It's really fun patterns, and we have the jacket. She made a kind of vest out of it, and similar ideas. Bag. And the final photo is another photo with the smile, and it's really nice to have she's my student. She took my workshop in Japanese, and she was living near Kyoto, actually in Kyoto, and we are kind of expanding our friendship community, and that's what I would like to keep doing. So whoever got the basic or the core and essence of my stitching, they are all welcome to Keiko's place for just, hanging out or even for the workshop. It's not like the workshop, but I can arrange something too. So, and Keiko likes to see somebody enjoying Sashiko, so that's kind of win-win situation. And after the exhibition, after the exhibition, I will share the items with the photos which was not sold. If it's sold, I will not introduce that. Okay, I will go back to stitching. Where do you find the vintage fabric and how old is the fabric on average? That's a good question, and unfortunately the answer is it depends. Keiko has the license of the vintage dealer, so she can resource those. So she finds what she wants. I mean, it's not answering any questions. And flea market is not a bad place, but because of the popularity of this boro and sashiko, the price of the vintage fabric skyrocketed, especially in the flea market. There's so many new people coming into the field. And it's this market logic. The more supply and demand. If there's more demand, of course, supply comes from any places. So the best advice is to know somebody, to find somebody who knows what they're doing. Well, it's probably the same at anything, but flea market itself used to be a very, very good place. Personally, I don't like the flea market much. I don't mind going it, but it's not my first choice. It's too much spirits there. It's too many spirits, too much. I don't know how to say nen in English. Too much thoughts, too much. Ooh, help me out. What do you call nen in English? Memory? No. Not only the fabric, but items carry the memories, and then flea market for me is a little too much. Sometimes, it's not always good. It can be good, but it can be a little opposite of good. So I kind of trust my mothers for the vintage fabric selection. I don't have that much good experience on that, but we can, of course, cleanse that kind of then as well. But that process also requires some of the understanding to the fabric too. So in order to find a good vintage fabric, finding the trustworthy vintage dealer is one very, very important step. And the age of the fabric, it can be a few hundred years old to. I would not call the fabric after the World War II as the vintage much. So it's at least 50, 60, 70, 100 years around old. After World War II, the Japanese experienced very, very steep economic growth. So they learned that in that economic growth, not many people recycle the fabric. Not many people stitched first to make the life of fabric longer, because that's the kind of start of mass production, mass consumption. So instead of recycle, they start replacing it. And so those fabric we cherish, we put the value on, are the fabric that was well used by those who needed to use those. And of course, because it's not every Japanese people had a those abundance of the wealth of the economic growth. They are vintage fabric from I don't want to say vintage fabric. They are good fabric after the World War II period, but it usually is before that. Sometimes I don't think it's Edo period, which is 400 years ago. Maybe, possibly. But it's kind of difficult to articulate when exactly the fabric was because they did not also make a record of when it was acquired. I mean, it's just the fabric for them. And if it's recorded as the art or something valuable, then it's probably not the material suitable for Sashiko. It's something else. We may not want to even stitch on. It may be more valuable without it. So, there are things we don't want to even add something because by itself it can be quite valuable. So the best way is to find somebody trustworthy. My mother is one of those, and I sometimes, very occasionally, sell one of those in my store. So if you find that, that's the bonus time. I usually introduce that in the Patreon first. So if I have that, that's Patreon is a good place to start. But we don't really sell the vintage fabric online because, once again, fabric carry the memories too, and it has to. I want a person to feel comfortable and, for that matter, good about getting that fabric. Not only how old, not only how damaged, not only how beautiful it is, the feeling of that, if they like that fabric or not, is quite important. So I often bring it to the workshop, in-person workshop for the purchase, but online can be a little difficult time. If I find, not if, when I find the pieces that I can feel that the fabric will impress most of the general public. There are fabric that I feel like, well, this will be good for many people. Then I list it. But the worst thing, the last thing I would like to do is to send or even sell the fabric they do not want to have. It's like nobody wins in that case. It's so sad that a fabric has to be in the place that they are not respected or appreciated, and same as to the owner, because if the fabric is not suitable for them, then it's quite sad. I talk as if we all agree on the spirit on the fabric, but that's one shenanigans that I keep having. Okay. I think one more thread. At night, like 9 o'clock at night, is not the best time for me. I mean, I keep saying that every time. I'm sorry, but I'm getting quite sleepy. It's 9:40, right? So I'm 41 right now, and I'm becoming 42 this year. And many people say that 30s is one thing, and when you become 40, another gate will open. And I think another gate has opened to me too, and I wake up before 5 no matter what. Sleeping requires some ability to do that. I don't know why. No matter how late I go to sleep, well, I don't really go to sleep late any longer. I used to be a very short sleeper, and I usually go to bed very late. Oh, probably that's why. But right now, because I go to bed around 10, 11, I cannot sleep like after 4. 5 is like if I could stay in sleep until 5, that's a good day. 4:30 is like a normal, and sometimes even 4, and then okay, fine, let's do something. It's not that bad. It's not bad. I'm not complaining, but the earlier I wake up, the sleepier I get toward this time. So it may be a good idea to change the live streaming time to 8 o'clock, but then it might be difficult for the West Coast. So, well, let's see what I may adjust it to the 8 o'clock. That's one thing I am considering that. Gracias. I'm sorry, but I don't understand after that, but I understand. Gracias. Thank you. Thank you. So beautiful. What did you use to make the pattern you're following, and then when do you... What did you use to make the patterns you're following, and when do you decide to sew in the thread? When do I decide to sew in the thread? This is based on the grid and the angle maker. So we use this kind of chalk pencil to draw those lines. And yeah, I mean, this is not the best ruler, but those two of the things are what we use. This is not the best thing. And the threads that are loose. When do I decide to... Sorry, I don't understand that. The thread that I lose. But yeah, so that's something we do. We don't really stitch on the fabric or pattern somebody prepared. I don't like to be told that I should be doing something specific. I really don't like somebody telling me what to do. I gotta do what I will. So if somebody, I mean, if it's a customer, then it's a different story. But if somebody asks me to stitch in a specific length with the stitches, no, I don't want to. But yeah, the people did not have those templates. What I mean is that I see you're not making knots, so I imagine you will have to sew the thread itself. Yes and no. We do not make a knot, but there are places that it becomes like a knot. And that requires me to stop stitching and then start teaching something. So I'm not gonna do it in this live streaming. I think I do have a video in this channel that how to not to make knot. So we don't make knot, so that both sides of the fabric will look the same after this completion. So we don't really... I understand the question. So we don't really sew in the thread. It's just gonna be here. We even clip those tails too after that. And that's what is not discussed in the trend of Sashiko. And that's the wisdom that many Sashiko artisans developed to last almost a few hundred years. Yeah, thank you so much for the time to look into that. There's nothing wrong with making knot. At the same time, there were some, authorities or some people saying that every Sashiko has to make knot. Well, that's wrong. That is incorrect information because there are Sashiko artisans, including myself, who does not make knot. And there are technique, there are ideas, there with wisdom to be okay with that, to keep pretty much everything, both sides as the finished side, without making knot. So I wanted the culture to be as a choice, not the. So if you choose to make a knot, if I choose to make a knot, that's perfectly fine. But if you need to make a knot because of the lack of information studying or learning, then that's a problem. They have to learn first. Watching while finishing the binding on the quilt. Watching while finishing the binding on the quilt, but you're tempting me to switch project. Well, that's that's what we all have. I have a tendency to move from the project to project, and don't do that. I mean, I do that, but don't do that. We will end up with unfinished, almost finished project everywhere, and then that's a pretty good way to start having the hoarding issue or clutter issue. So I always recommend others to finish, which I don't follow, but it's easier to tell others what to do, right? May we see the other side of the fabric? I will show you that at the end. I usually don't see that until I really finish everything, but yeah, I will show you everything at the end of this live streaming. I mean, today's end, before I turn off this camera, I will show you the other side. And yes, this live streaming is almost every Thursday. Almost. When I get sick, I don't really cancel the live streaming because I'm sleepy. I have never done that. I sometimes end live streaming early because I get so sleepy, but usually, yes, it's Thursday night. And unless I have some specific reasons, I will keep doing that every Thursday. Like one of the examples of a specific reason is when I am in the workshop, in-person workshop somewhere else, then that they will be canceled. But usually I will announce it beforehand. I hope I did not miss any comments at this moment. I need a bigger screen. God, the age, yo. Reading this small text while stitching is quite. It wasn't that difficult a few years ago, but I don't know what is going on. Something is happening that it's quite. It's getting more challenging to do that. Like I don't have to see my hands, but I need to see the screen to read. Or probably I can use some AI to read it out loud, probably. It doesn't have to be AI, probably there might be some program that does that. That might be a good idea to start looking for invest. Yep, be responsible. I'm just kidding, but that's usually a very, very good advice. And that's the advice I give myself, which again I don't follow, but I am probably the person who eat whenever I want to eat instead of like eating regularly. And it applies to the fabric too. Am I missing something? It's probably after this. Okay, good 1 hour. I appreciate you coming. I will end here. So the front side it's quite big fabric, so it's bulky, but the front side is like this. Front side, wrong side, front. It doesn't fit. Ooh, it does not fit, but it's front. It does not fit. Front. This is the front side. This is the front side again. This pattern is a little bit different story today. Wrong side is a little weird. Well, not a weird. Wrong side is I chose to make it a little messy on the wrong side. Chose. It's just a choice. We can make it both sides as a finished side, but I chose not to this time. But yeah, this is the front side, and this is the wrong side. All right. I've actually got 2 small quilt panel based and one for hand, so that chance coming up soon. Yeah, I hope that you enjoy Sashiko too with the quilting. I will be once again. No, I don't know. Ooh, I'm sorry. No, nothing. I'm sorry. Oops. I don't know if I was allowed to share this story. No, forget about it. Okay, thank you so much for coming to live streaming. Just a second. Okay. Thank you, Lily-san. Well, it's the same though. I have not been really changed much. It's always the same, but I mean, same is good. Same is good. Okay, thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko live streaming. I do this live streaming every Thursday night, almost every Thursday night, and the live streaming is about me talking about Sashiko cultural stories or histories, whatever comes up in my mind, answering the questions about the culture, history, which I do not have to, like, as long as I don't have to stop stitching, I will answer the question. For the technical perspective, like how to not to make knot, how to make running stitch, there should be the videos already. I'm not good at making videos, so the video quality is probably bad. But there are informations there, so please take a look at that. Lastly, if you could make a like button, if you could press like button, it's gonna help me to have the good, healthy channel. I'm not good at making videos, so I don't have that many videos uploaded, but having the live streaming like this and having a like button will help to improve the channel health. So your like button will help us a lot. Okay, and I hope you have a good night. If you're in the US or this American continent, I hope you have a good night. If you're in the other area, I hope you have a good day too. Okay, bye bye.